Hi, welcome to Citizen McCain. Don't forget to raise your digital hand if you have a question. And I know you're going to have a question because we have a very exciting guest today. We have Senator Joe Manchin from the great state of West Virginia, and he has a new book out called Dead Center in Defense of Common Sense. I think we have the photo of the book if we want to put it up or put it up when he comes on. We have a lot of things to obviously ask him. I'm very excited to speak with him. I know you are too, Miranda.
Mhm.
Really quickly, though, we have to obviously talk about the Charlie Kirk funeral memorial
Ah,
yesterday in my home state of Arizona. I watched parts of it. I did not watch the entire thing through. It was, as Ashley reminded me, over 5 hours. So I obviously wasn't watching straight through, but I did see a lot of the speeches. And I think we all, probably every human being who watches, in agreement that Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, is a beacon of just strength and fortitude and courage that I certainly would not have had given the
I don't know
situation.
how she did
Um,
that.
I don't either. I want to play really quick the clip that not only we're talking about, but that everyone will be talking about for a long time, where she talks about what she is going to do with her husband's killer. I don't remember which clip it is. I apologize. Got it. Thank you.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
I think that is so brave and deeply healing for the country. And obviously, that is a woman who is in very deep faith in her life. And I think to be able to do that, I mean, there's just no explanation for how you could do something like that. Did you have any? We have lots of clips from different speakers, but I don't know if we need to go through all of it. What was your takeaway? I don't think you sat and watched the whole thing either, but what was your
No.
takeaway from what you saw?
I caught the highlights of it like I think a lot of people did. Because gosh, sitting through a 5-hour funeral is a lot. My big takeaway was that Erica Kirk is such an incredible beacon and pillar, and for anybody who was doubting her taking over Turning Point, I think that proved them completely wrong. She is an incredible leader and shows a lot of strength. And obviously, she's just very, very strong in her convictions and the absolute right person to follow in Charlie's footsteps and continue his message and um, take over that organization. It was incredibly well produced. It looked uh, beautiful and it was so well done. Um, and it was so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. When we were first discussing it, you and I last week about, you know, the funeral and I thought maybe just a couple hundred people, and it ended up being like 200,000 people. I don't even know what the total was that ended up
I do
showing
know
up.
it was more than Elvis or Martin Luther King Jr. that showed up
Yeah,
for it.
which is
So
unbelievable. So, there were some standout speeches. President Trump's was weird, right? Am I the only one who thinks that his speech was kind of weird?
his was
Um,
more overtly political. Him and Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump
oh my
Jr.'s were
gosh,
more.
Tucker Carlson's was very strange, and he did his
I just
weird
think that as a
Tucker laugh.
general rule, we should not laugh during memorials. I think it's tonally
I mean,
uncomfortable.
unless
I
you're
think
telling a funny story about the person and it's like everybody's gonna laugh about it because you're celebrating them. Not all funerals have to be so like morose and depressing. Like this one time we got in trouble because X, Y, or Z, but this particular funeral was not the place for something like that. And Tucker wasn't telling a story about Charlie. He was telling a very strange, bizarre story, and he did his weird maniacal laugh, and that made me deeply uncomfortable when I was watching those clips.
he was telling the story of Jesus and then added in some commentary that I don't even feel like we should play because I interpreted it as anti-Semitic. Many other
Yes.
people have as well. I just think for me, I think we should focus on the positives of Erica, Tulsi's speech, Marco Rubio. There were a lot of really beautiful speeches and You know, where Tucker Carlson goes with the party and whether or not people follow him is still a big question mark. But there are a lot of people that have a lot of things to say about, like, we're not stupid. We all know what you're doing. Like, I'm like a highly educated woman, and also, like, I'm very well aware of what dog whistles look and sound like, and I'm not a snowflake, and just is what it is. I will say there's a lot of commentary right now this morning about whether or not this was a religious revival, if there's going to be, uh, new wave of sort of like religion and Christianity and people going to church and proud Christianity and politics. And I was telling some friends of mine this morning that I actually do believe that the Republican Party and the Republican platform is going to get a lot more um, open, unabashedly Christian. I think you're going to see a lot more political events coinciding with, mega churches, religious events. Like, I think it's about to get a lot more Christian. I think I would compare it to like the early 90s era pre-President Clinton. And it's going to be interesting to see where that moves the party in different directions. But I think more God in the country as a general rule is always a good thing. Really quick, I understand our guest is here. We will continue this conversation as he
Sure.
leaves because he's very important and can only be with a half hour. Hello, Senator Manchin.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness,
I have
I
an
have
echo.
I have an echo too.
I apologize, sir. I think it's coming from
Oh,
you.
it's gone. It's gone.
Oh,
We're
it's gone
good.
now. Okay, great.
Yep.
Great.
Oh, it's back.
So sorry, sir. Can you hear me? You have an echo. You have an echo, sir.
How about now?
That's better, I think. Great.
Can you
So
hear me?
sorry for the technical difficulties, you guys. This is live.
Do a 10 count. Yeah.
Senator Manchin, I'm so happy to see you. Senator Manchin is here. He has a new book called Dead Center in Defense of Common Sense. I'm so happy to see you. We have a lot of serious things we want to ask you about, but my team just found out that you live on a houseboat and have lived on a houseboat for a long time, and they're very excited and fascinated by this. So we just want to know why you decided to live on a houseboat.
I need
I
to
don't
know
know if
the
you still
boat's
do.
name. I need to know about the parties that were held on the boat. I need to know everything about the boat.
I can't tell you about parties because every time we bring people down, I always if I'm bringing 4 Democrats, I bring 4 Republicans. I don't let either side
Nice.
stand by themselves. So I says, come on, let's get together and we have a good night. We haven't done it for a while, but we need to get back into that again. But I live on it's a big trawler. It's a liveaboard trawler, if you will. It's proper. It's not a yacht. It's a trawler, and it's very comfortable. It's large, very roomy, and I'm down at the Capitol Yacht Club. Is where we keep it down at the wharf. And the great thing about it is that when it gets too bad, I can just unhook the lines and float away.
Was it ever a security risk for your team?
Pardon me.
Was it ever a security risk for you to be living on a boat?
Well, I got attacked by a bunch of canoes one time. A bunch of people were in canoes, but they were peaceful. Now they have no arrows. There was no guns, no nothing. But they were very peaceful. But they were very boisterous. And I went out and Meg, it's no different how your dad operated. I watched him, so I just admired him and watched him so much. But he just wade right into it. And I've always wade into it. If you got a problem, and you want to talk to me, I'm going to talk to you. So they came by canoes. There's a bunch of pictures about that, and they were all it's about climate and this. And I was trying to get a balanced energy policy, and they wanted no fossil whatsoever. And I said, there might be a time in maybe your life, maybe not mine, but maybe in yours, you'll be fossil free. I mean, but right now we've got to have energy. So I says we've got to produce it, and we do it better and cleaner than anywhere in the world, and we can invest in the technology we want for the future. And I brought them up to my office. They came up, and we had a good conversation. I'm sure they walked away wanting me to change my position, but I think at least they understood where I was coming from, and we respected each other. I got some protesters that don't want to talk at all. They just want to disrupt. That's all. Just jump up and stop things. But you get used to that. But the boat is my sanctuary. I get up and look at the water in the morning, have a cup of coffee, gets me right. I come home after whatever happened that day and come down to the water, and it's very peaceful. So I enjoy it very much. And Gail's with me, so we enjoy. We do enjoy it.
You're living Miranda's dream. She
I
wants to live
love
on your
that.
houseboat.
I'm in awe.
Senator, your book is all about your post-Senate life, your decision to not run for Senate again. There was a lot of rumors for a long time that you were possibly going to run for Senate last time in 2024. How is life now? How does it feel like post-Senate life? And do you have any regrets about not running for either Senate or president?
No, let me just say, I've been involved 42 years, Megan, and I started in 1982, and I was 35. I wasn't that young. I had three children, and I got involved in statewide what we call House of Delegates, and then I became a state senator. And then I ran for governor and got defeated in 1996, and thought, well, I gave it my best shot, and it's done. And the book has all of this in it, how where I came from and how I got to in politics and how I got to where I am. And then the same people that went after and defeated me in 1996, which because I didn't have my message. I never blamed anybody. It was my fault. I didn't have a good message, and I didn't deliver it properly. So then, and they came back and said, we made a mistake. We'd like to have you involved again. And a lot of the coal miners and mine unions and things of that supported me, and I had Chamber of Commerce supporting me. So I think I was the first politician in West Virginia to have both Chamber of Commerce and the AFL-CIO and UMW all at the same time. But these were all my friends. I worked with them and sat down and talked to them. Then I ran for governor, which Secretary of State for 4 years, then governor in 2004. And at the end of 2010, Bob Byrd died in June. I had to make a decision, and I ran for the Senate. I was My term was only 2 years because I was filling in Bob Byrd's his term, and his term extended to 2012. And then I had to run for the full term. So I rented an apartment down here. Back to the boat. I rented an apartment because I didn't want it to look like I've already thought I was going to win again in 2012. That's a bad omen. And then someone says, "You better buy something now. You'll have a 6-year term." I couldn't come. I just couldn't make myself buy real estate here, and like I'm permanent in Washington. I'm hooked to the place, and I didn't want to be,
Mhm.
and I'm not. So that's where the boat came in. That's how I got to where I am.
Okay.
So much of your life and your messaging is about, meeting in the middle, being bipartisan. And I want to know, in this moment, there seems to be such extreme division in the country. Even coming off of Charlie Kirk's assassination, there seems to be like an even larger
Yeah.
division in the country. This sounds very trite, but has it surprised you how divided we are and how so many people like you, are really, and my dad too, are vilified for trying to work with the other side at any point?
I think we might be vilified in the public arenas when people are talking about politics, but in the back rooms after people are not on the air or television or on radio or communicating anywhere, people say, "Boy, I wish we were back to where we were. I'm glad you guys are where you're at." And I keep asking them. I says, "Man, you got to tap it down. This is wrong." I said, words have meaning, and well, I was raised in Farmington, West Virginia, a little coal mining town. In that little coal mining town, 500 people or less. I mean, everyone had to pull their own. Everyone had to work together. Everybody had to love each other. I never saw a Republican I didn't like. I can't tell you why I was a Democrat growing up. My grandfather was a Democrat. I understood my state was all Republican up until the Great Depression. Then it switched to be all Democrat, and it was solid for 80 years. Then it went back to being solid Republican again. So we always had a conservative, realistic approach. You live within your means, and you help your fellow person no matter what situation they may be in. And I just watch people kind of take care of each other. And those who are physically impaired, everyone stepped to the plate to help them. Those who had a mining accident and their breadwinner of the family might have gotten killed in a mine explosion or something of that sort. It was horrific, but I watched the whole town rally around that family, keep them together. That's all I saw. So my grandmother took everybody in, Megan. She had a little house, and we lived right beside each other. We had a garage apartment beside her house, and she made us all clean the basement and keep it whitewashed because she says sometimes people need a place to stay. And she had three rules. You couldn't cuss, you couldn't drink, and you had to work. So I grew up
Mhm.
with rules. It's just pretty basic. And so now I fast forward. I'm in the pinnacle of power, sitting in the White House, and the president's putting a bite on you, and they want you to vote for this or vote for that. And I just always thought back, could I go home and explain this in Farmington? Could I tell the people I grew up with that people really wanted me to be involved, but they wanted me to be respectful and be so thankful for this great country we have. And John Kennedy, when the Kennedys came through West Virginia in 1960 because of the religious barrier and being Catholic. This is one of the states, one of the least Catholic states in the nation is West Virginia. And my family and myself, all of us being Catholic, they got all excited. My parents, I'm 13 years old, and they're all worked up and excited. I never seen them get excited about politics. And here come the Kennedy clan. I was in the book again. I was downstairs working on a go kart one day, and I was greasy and everything. And my mother was upstairs, and she came down and says, "Joe, I think you ought to come up, honey." She says, I said, "Mom, I'm all dirty. I don't want to come up." She says, "I think it's going to be historical. You might want to come up and say hi." And there was Teddy and the whole Kennedy clan up. They were all eating spaghetti, and they looked up and they acknowledged me. It was very kind to me and all that. And so I kept following him. And one cute thing, we'll go on to something else. We were watching Walter Cronkite one night during the campaign, and I'll never forget. We have a wee little TV, and it was black and white, and it had to be Walter Cronkite because he said, "It's been said if John Kennedy becomes president, the Pope will run the country." And I told my mom, I looked, I said, "Well, Mom, they don't know the Catholics we know."
Hmm.
I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And people,
Yeah. And it was controversial when he became president as a Catholic, correct?
oh, I
In
mean,
time.
yeah, but he handled it so gracefully in the whole thing. And religion, politics. Your dad, I can tell so many stories about him. And I've always said this. They said, "How'd you and John get along?" I said, "I love John McCain." And
It's
I said,
nice.
"But now, if you hadn't been McCainized, you haven't been in the Senate long enough." Because he's
That's so
going to get you.
funny.
He's going to get you one day or another because there's something you're going to do that's going to get him irate, and you just got to let it go because it'll go and come right back. And I says I've been McCainized, so I said he's my dear friend. But yeah, I was
That's so
there when he
funny.
went out. Yeah, just some courageous things he would do and say. I remember in that debate with Barack Obama, not a debate, town hall he was having when he was running Barack Obama, and that person stood up and start vilifying Barack Obama, this and that. And your dad says, "Whoa, whoa, 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 wait a minute, wait a minute. No, he's not. He's not a bad person. He's a good person. We just disagree." And
Mhm.
that's what I'm running on. I'm running on the things I know I can do better than he can do, and disagreement. It was so classy, John McCain.
That
People
clip
always
went
bring that
viral.
moment up
Yeah.
to me. Yeah, like I would say not weekly, but maybe bi-weekly. People always that it's so funny that moment has really made an impact on people. I think it's because it's so different than the
Well,
moment we're in.
I'll say it's
Let
Go
me
what
ahead,
we're
tell you the
miss
other.
Randy.
it's what we're missing right now.
Let me tell you the other moment too, Megan, and to both of you all. I was in the back hallway before your dad voted on the Affordable Care Act.
Mhm.
We talked about this a good bit because I wasn't crazy about that bill. I was a governor at that time when they passed the bill in 2009, and I become in the Senate 2010. And John and I would talk from time to time. Your dad would take this position here. He was against something unless you had something better. If you had something better, he'd change in a heartbeat. Okay. And I mean, they were working on him hard back there. I heard it going on in that back hallway, right behind our chamber. And I walked by, and your dad was sitting there getting ready to go out. And I sat down and say, "John, I don't like this bill either. If they had anything at all for me to vote for, I would vote for something different, but I've got nothing else to vote for. So I can't get rid of something before we got something better to replace it with." Your dad didn't say a word, and he kind of said to me, he said, "They got nothing, Joe," and walked out.
That was right after you had surgery too,
Yep.
and had flown back. I remember. Did you know? I'm sure you did. Senator Lieberman as well.
Oh, Joe Lieberman was the best of the best, and him and your dad. And Joe Lieberman, the other side of those guys was they love to tell jokes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They loved a good joke. And Joe Lieberman said, "Come on, Joe, you got one? You got one? Give me one. Just give me something." And we
Hmm.
go back and forth. But they were so genuine Americans. It wasn't about Democrat or Republican. I never looked at a party. I never knew a Republican wasn't my friend. And I never knew the
Hmm.
Democrats had all the answers. So I said, I don't know how this thing works unless we both work together. And I just
I
never
re-
had that type of mentality coming into this.
I love Joe Lieberman very much. He was basically like an uncle to me. I miss him every day. I still can't believe he also is not with us. I can remember him tweeting something, and I apologize, I don't remember exactly the tweet, but it was something like how people need to come together and people need to, Democrats need to be a big tent. And AOC tweeted back to him, "New party who dis," like meaning like a, like meaning
Oh
like her
no.
brand of the party has taken over. I don't know if you remember that. It was like kind of a moment. What do you make of this new generation who doesn't seem to have a lot of respect for the people that helped build the party into what it is, and then anyone who's just not, a full blown, I guess complete progressive?
Megan, I couldn't. I can't understand it, and it's not working if they think it is. And next of all, that's why I left. I told some of them, you've got to figure out how you lost people who are identified as a Democrat as me. I mean,
Hmm.
somebody that loved Republicans, wanted to work with them, trying to find a pathway forward, always working for something to make it better. Never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. That's what we always said. Never let it be the enemy of the good. And I said this, since her and Bernie's been making their tour, uh,
Yeah.
I forget what they call it, but this very, very progressive liberal tour. Well, sure, there's going to be people all wound up and they're getting nice crowds, but guess what? Since November election, we've the Democratic Party has lost 160,000 people who registered Democrat that quit.
Hmm.
160,000 people have exited the Democratic Party. Republican has picked up 200,000. But the most dominant party in American politics is the one I belong to, no party affiliation, which you call an independent. That's about
Hmm.
50%. So you
That's
got about
Miranda too.
Yeah.
24% are registered Democrats, and 26, 27 registered Republican, about 50% registered no party affiliation. And in so many states, we're left out. If I wanted to vote in West Virginia for a Republican in the primary because I thought he or she was a good person, they should be involved in public service, the Republican Party will not let me vote in their primary because I am not registered Republican. I'm registered independent. When I was Secretary of State, it was just opposite. The Democrats were so dominant in West Virginia, they had their primary closed. You could only vote for a Democrat in the Democratic primary if you were a registered Democrat. You couldn't. And I said, are you people crazy? The Republicans have opened it up. They says you can vote in ours whether you're an independent or not. And then I finally convinced the Democrats to do the same. And now, 20 years later, the Republicans have shut down theirs in my state. So they're controlling the primary. If you control the primary, you're able to control how the process works and how you feed it. That's what they're doing right now. So 20 million people, maybe 10 million on each side, vote for a national election for president, but 160 million of us will vote in the national election who we want to be
Hmm.
president, but we only have maybe two choices because the parties controlled it. No one else could get involved. And you were going to ask me what I think about getting involved. I would have loved to have been on the stage and have a debate. But as a independent, I said, listen, I've been a Democrat and I have all my Republicans are all my friends. Why are
Hmm.
you all trying to separate everybody? Why can't we bring them together and find the best path forward? I would have loved to talk to different things. Why don't we have a secured border? President Trump has taken advantage of doing what he knew people wanted done. Secure the border. Secure basically the streets crime free in America if you can. And doing all these things here. The Democrats should have said, Megan, hey, we made a heck of a mistake on the border. And I told him, I said, you cannot have asylum at the border. You people are nuts if you think this is going to work out. But they went ahead and did it anyway. And all they have to do now is admit they made a mistake and say, Mr. President, we want to work with you and make sure our border is secured and closed. But if you'll work with us on legal immigration, because we can't continue as a superpower in the world if we don't have people coming for the right reason that can help us grow. That's how my family got here, and most of all our families came at one time and another for this great opportunity. But you got to have legal immigration, and we don't have it working the way it should. So Democrats, if they could get their head out of the sand, maybe they could sit down and work and work with the president on things that they like and he's doing good, and then be able to speak respectfully, truth to power, without calling people names and hateful rhetoric. It's just awful, awful.
Hmm. It is really awful. Senator Manchin, I hope you don't mind. We have a question from our audience
Sure,
member,
sure, it's fine.
Kenny.
Uh-huh.
Really quick. Hi, Kenny. How are you? It's nice to see you. Do you have a question for Senator Manchin?
I do. Thank you, Megan. And thanks, Miranda. Hi, Senator. It's an honor to speak to
Hi,
you.
Kenny.
My
I'm just
question,
joking. I'm just joking.
okay, Joe. Okay, it's my question to you is about Congress and the grift that goes on with the money they earn while being in office. I think that's also one of the big turnoffs for the electorate is that never mind that we're so divided, which and I'm a Republican. I'm not a Trumper, but I'm a Republican, which my party disappeared in me a long time ago. But the idea like they in 2012 they passed the stock act like you can't trade stock but yet they all do it and it doesn't get enforced and we see people uh like Senator Warren, for example, her net worth from the time she became a senator to what she has in her bank account now, being so and not I just don't want to pick on her, obviously,
Yeah.
but how do you think that plays in American politics, and is there anything that we can do about it? We pass these laws, but we don't enforce them.
Well, you can do a
Yeah.
couple of things. First of all, a lot of the riches that people have gotten in public office, a lot of it comes from book deals. And if
Hmm.
they're highly profile and they're a little volatile from time to time, people want to say, "Oh, I want to read more about that." If it bleeds, it reads. They say. So that a lot goes on. I can honestly say there's a lot of us that never ever profited on it because we didn't. I just thought the emolument clause we just couldn't do it. I went in blind trust. I never knew anything about what was going on in mine
Hmm.
until I got out in January 3rd of this year. So for 15 years, I didn't want to, and I never had to think about, oh, well, let me see if I vote for this or against this, will that hurt or help me? No, if I vote for this or against this, is it going to help my country, help my state? Can I keep my oath of office, where I took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, and can I go home and explain it? So I always had a very clear conscience on that, and it wasn't hard for me to make the decisions I made. But there's an awful lot of people, we say, that come here for fame and fortune, Kenny. Fame and fortune.
Hmm.
Because if you want to be on television every day, if you want to be in the paper every day, you can do it. Okay? If you don't, and if you want to do your job, you'll probably end up anyway because so few people are doing what they know is right other than what the party's forcing them to do. And it's just not who we are. What's going on today is not normal. There's nothing normal about this. And
Yeah.
can we turn? Can we change? I like to think we've made it for 240 plus years, so hopefully we can make it a little bit longer. But it's being tested now more than ever before. But freedom of speech, all the things we're concerned about, that keeps our country the envy of the world, is challenged, and I think we'll be able to rise to that challenge.
Kenny, I
Thank you,
always
sir.
joke that if you're a failed actor or actress, or you like went to the Tisch School of the Arts, you tried to make an album and that all failed, and then you got into politics, like I don't want to listen to you. Like I think this the center saying is right. They call it Hollywood for ugly people. No disrespect to any of us working, we're all beautiful, but that's what they call it. So I agree with you. Thank you so much for asking a question, Kenny.
Thank you.
Senator Manchin, I know you don't have a ton of time, but we just wanted to play a little word association game with you.
Mhm.
That means like when we say a word, you just the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh,
The
this could
I
be dangerous.
It's
you can
not.
also
I promise.
pass.
Yes. We
Yeah,
we
you
made
can
it
also
very
pass.
very friendly.
No,
Yes.
no, no, no. I'm happy to participate. I'm glad to be on with you, Megan. And your
Thank
mother,
you.
love your mother.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you so much. She loves you too. Okay, so I think the first one should be your favorite food.
Oh, spaghetti.
Spaghetti is your
I'm
favorite food.
Italian. I'm Italian. What was you? That was a loaded question.
That's such a funny, but does it have to be like nice spaghetti or can you cook it like
Yeah,
ragu
like
Oh
at
no, no,
home?
no, 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 no.
No.
My wife, Gail started yesterday, Megan, cooking spaghetti.
the gravy,
And
right?
I mean, you have to have it all, and you have to the sauce and the pork and the sauce, and then you have to have three different meats for your meatballs, and you have to have a little egg, and you have to have a little bread, and she works it. I help
Wait,
her.
okay, what meats do you put in your meatballs then?
You put veal,
Yeah.
you put pork, and you put what's the other one? Veal, pork, and beef.
Veal, pork, and beef. Okay.
My producer Ashley's Italian and she's shaking her head. Yes, you guys are doing
Veal,
this
pork,
right,
and beef. Oh, you got to do it
apparently.
right. And then she puts in some different like beef shank or something with bone, and lets it cook let that cook in with when she's cooking her sauce. All that, and then she takes
It's
that out.
delicious.
But the flavor in the sauce is unreal.
Megan, we got to get on this boat and have
You would
this
literally be
spaghetti.
horrified with how I make spaghetti. You would be like, this
No,
is
no,
trash.
I'm gonna have Gail or I'm gonna have Heather, Megan. I'm gonna have Heather, my daughter Heather
Daughter.
Manchin, and she's gonna send you her recipe because she does the same as her mother. She
Please
said
do.
she's gonna
I would
feed
love
you.
it.
Heather's here. She
Uh,
said she'll feed you, Megan.
okay, tell her like that sounds amazing. And apparently everyone's saying you're doing it right and I'm doing it wrong. I literally make it out of a can, so I apologize.
Okay.
Okay, next one, Harper's Ferry.
John Brown's raid. Okay. John Brown,
Hmm.
the Civil War began at Harper's Ferry when he raided the arsenal.
It's
That's
my
what made it
personal
famous.
favorite area of West Virginia for anyone that's
It's
gone.
just
It's
So
gorgeous.
beautiful,
Just
yeah.
gorgeous.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
little town has like such cute restaurants and
Well, it sits
so
right there in the confluence of all the rivers coming together, and people. It's just a tourist attraction, and so many things. But when you say Harper's Ferry, the infamy that Harper's Ferry has is from John Brown, and you go up to the church where they hung John Brown, and you just it's so much history there, and the Civil
Mhm.
War. That's where she began.
Mhm. Your first job and your worst job.
Well, my first job was working for my grandfather in a little grocery store. He had a
Hmm.
grocery store. I was 10 years old. We had to start working 9 or 10. You had to go, if you were old enough to comprehend a little bit, and he could tell you things to go stock the shelf, go do this. Real cute thing about Papa. Papa called everybody honey. Everybody was honey. So I learned so much from my Papa just kind of watching him. And people would come in and say, hey, Papa, can I borrow five? Can I borrow five? $5, okay? He said, sure, honey. He didn't care who they were, what color, it makes no difference. Sure, honey. Here's a broom and a shovel. Go clean the parking lot, and I'll have five for you. And they said, I'll be right back, Papa. And he looked at me and said, Joe, don't worry. Only about half of them take me up on it. So that was the first thing. So, but he was willing. He wanted something in return. He wasn't going to
Sure.
give it to you on the front end. He'll give it to you on the back end. That's always stuck with me. Next of all, I wanted to get off so bad. I was 12 years old and I wanted to go. I think it was swimming with all my buddies or playing ball. I just wanted to get off, and I couldn't. And so I went to Papa and I said, I think I got it this time. He loves football, and I'm gonna say, hey, Papa, can I go and lift weights? I want to go lift weights and get strong so I can play football because he loved football. And he looked at me and he was cutting meats on his butcher block. He says, honey, show me a man that lifts dumbbells and I'll show you a dumbbell. That's wasted motion. Get back in that warehouse. And I never asked for another day off.
Lift those boxes, right.
The
What about your
toughest job, the toughest job I ever had when
yeah,
I'm
worst
13,
job?
I had to work from
Oh.
13 to 16. I worked in my dad's grocery store before I got to in my dad's furniture store before I got to put a tie on and try to sell. I'll give you two stories quickly. That you said my worst job? My
Hmm.
worst job was carrying a washing machine up 3 flights of steps.
Oh,
That's the
that
Oh,
sounds
worst job.
terrible.
no.
Or a refrigerator trying to get it up.
Yeah, that
We
sounds
had to do
awful.
it. But there's no elevators in West Virginia where I was living. You just had, they lived on 3 floors up. By God, we go. So I said, oh, I got to get out of this. So in 16, I got to put a tie on. My dad was famous every morning, 7 o'clock meetings. He'd tell us about all the things. He says, there's no such thing as a shopper. They're all buyers. They just don't know it yet. Okay, I got that. And he says, they don't come in to get out of the rain. They come in to buy something. He said, I need salespeople. I don't need order takers. Well, I wasn't about to fail the first day. And this is the God's honest truth. It's raining cats and dogs the first day I got to put a tie on. I'm 16 years old, and this guy runs in out of the rain. It's pouring. He's drenched. And I says, oh, man, this is my first sale. And I went over to him. I said, what can I help you with? I said, well, what can I do? May I help you? Can I help work with? He said, no, I just come in and get out of the rain. I said, no, you didn't. My dad says no one ever comes to get out of the rain. They came to buy something. And if you don't buy something, I got to go back on the truck. And I don't want to go on a truck and start carrying those refrigerators up and down steps. He says, Joe, this rain, look outside. I said, please, I don't want to go on a truck. He bought a lamp for his wife to get me off his backs. And I got to stay selling and he got to leave peacefully.
I don't think I could carry a refrigerator. I mean, it's so heavy.
Well,
That sounds
I
like
couldn't carry it by myself, but two of us, one guy's pulling on the front end with a dolly and I'm down the bottom because I was the youngest. They thought I was stronger, but they tried to kill me.
that sounds
Oh,
horrible.
no.
That sounds
I
awful.
hope you didn't have to do that for very long. Yikes. Oh
Uh-uh.
my goodness.
Our next one, Mom Donnie.
I don't know enough. I mean, everything I've read about him, everything I've seen about him, and everything that I know about the wonderful, beautiful city of New York, uh, he could uh, he could throw it into another level of turmoil because that's playing to the extreme of one side. I think. I just don't think that this democracy that we have, capitalism that we have, that's made the country the greatest country on earth, is ready for that.
Elon Musk.
I kind of I'm enamored with Elon in a certain way because I watched how he did what he did with Tesla, and I
Hmm.
recall the whole thing back in Tesla. That happened. Really, he came into his own through 2008, 2009 with the crash. You know, when the banks crashed and everything, we had the financial crisis. And then they come back to it was a rescue of the auto industry, the rescue of the auto industry, and that's when President Obama was also trying to push EVs. Now it was just on the forefront of pushing EVs out, electric vehicles. There was not you would think Ford and General Motors, all the big boys would understand what's going on. Only one person, Elon Musk. Remember, there was no number basically on what your income was, and there was no set price on what the vehicle could cost. You could qualify for the $7,500 no matter what. Well, Elon knew that it would be a niche product, a niche market at that time for those who could afford it. And people that can afford it always like a good deal. So thinking they're getting $7,500 credit to buy something they wanted to try anyway was even more incentives. And he just boom when everybody else was saying, how did he take off and sell 1 million vehicles? We can't sell 10,000, you know. But he hit a market when it was market was ripe, and just on the cutting edge. I like that. I didn't like the whole thing, this Doge thing and all that. But they're looking who's the most successful person in the business world today, and he is by far one of them, if not the most successful. And him and Jeff Bezos, and I know both of them. I get along fine with them, and I just thought the Doge thing was done in the wrong way. That's all. But anyway,
And our last one, courage.
we're lacking, big lacking
Yeah.
of that, big exit on courage. And I tell my friends, I say, guys, listen, this is not the greatest job in the world being a U.S. senator. Okay, it's a privilege and an honor, but it's not the greatest job you'll ever have. And if it is the greatest job you've ever had, then you haven't lived enough. You have to go out and get another job. You might find out
Hmm.
there's more out there. So with that, do what you got to do from the standpoint of you took an oath of office. Your oath of office said, I would protect and defend the Constitution. I'll never forget. Harry Reid wanted me to vote for something one time, Megan, and he said, Joe, we're going to have a party line vote. I have never heard the word party line vote, and that was in 2011, and I had been in politics for since 1982. So I'd been in, what, 30 years already? And I said,
Hmm.
Harry, what does that mean? He said, well, all the Democrats have to vote for this. And I said, we do. Is there a rule or a law? He said, no, we just got to stick together as a party. I said, I'll read the bill. And I read the bill, and I went back and tapped him on the shoulder. And I says, Harry, on my best day, I can't sell this crap in West Virginia. It doesn't make any sense. And he got all huffy puffy. And I said, Harry, whoa, whoa. You didn't hire me, and you can't fire me. I don't work for you. I don't work for the President of the United States. I basically work to keep my oath of office. My oath to my office is to defend and protect the Constitution. And I said I owe it to my people who I work for, which are the citizens of West Virginia, to go home and explain it. I can't explain it, and to me, it doesn't stay in sync with the Constitution oath I took. I'm not going to vote for it. Well, he got really mad and this and that, and then after a while, you know how the game's played there. They try to shun you and this and do all these things, and then after a while, he says, "Can you just tell me how you're going to vote?" And I says, "Harry, not only will I tell you how I'm going to vote, I'll explain to you why I'm voting that way." Then he got to the point, "Can you just vote last, Joe? Because we never know. We don't really care. I said, "You think anybody else that you already have captured in the far left, the parties going left, are going to follow me?" I says, I can vote with Republicans as much as I can with Democrats. I said, if something's good, I'm for it. And if they looking for a co-sponsor and make it bipartisan, count me in. And I was never his favorite. Let's put it that way.
Hmm. Well, we have really enjoyed talking to you. I know you're running on time. Is there anything else you want to say to me or our audience before we say
I just,
goodbye?
I'm saying to all of your audience, Megan, that please keep the faith as far as this great country and who we are. Make sure that we don't lose our right to speak up. But your words, and I was taught in West Virginia, your words mean something. They usually lead to action. So you're going to be held accountable and responsible for your words and the actions that are taken. Be very careful how you use both.
Hmm.
And
That's
and
really important advice right now.
right now, we just need to honor who we are as Americans, how we've gotten to where we are, and be able to respect each other and love each other. It's just too bad. My heart still goes out to the Kirk family, There's no way. This type of violence is nowhere to be had, nowhere to be found in the American political process or any other. But when you have people afraid to even get involved anymore because before they were afraid, oh, I'm not going to run, Joe, because I know your dad did too. We try to recruit people all the time, good people to get involved. I don't want people to talk about me. I don't want my family. And I would always tell them that's a small price to pay for the great country we have. Now they're saying, I don't want any physical damage. I don't want people harassing me. I don't
Oh,
want people threatening me. And I got all the death threats we all have. If you're here long enough and you're doing something, those things. But I keep thinking what our founding fathers went through to say there's something better than the living in tyranny or under the thumb of King George. That monarchy's not for me. Let's govern ourselves and let's do it right.
hmm yeah,
Okay.
that's really important. And I think we all really appreciate this sentiment and those words, especially in such a dark time in our country. Senator, come back anytime you want. I love your daughter, Heather. And everyone, please go pick up his new book, Dead
Let,
Center in Defense
let
of
me tell you
Common Sense.
on this book here, Heather wrote it.
Mhm.
She's the author.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Heather,
I did not know that.
Megan, here was what we got into. 2 years I tried to get it right, write a book, and everyone kept sending me ghostwriters. They'll help you. They're professionals, and they were wonderful people, and they were very, very bright and intelligent. And I would talk to them. They would record me, and then they give me a chapter back. I'd read it, and I said, "Man, this doesn't sound like me. That's not me." And after about a year, I just said, "Forget it." And Heather, about a year ago today, Heather came and says, "Hey, Dad, let's give it one shot." I said, "Okay, honey." And I don't
I
need to
love
tell you,
that.
spending that quality time with your children and with your father. I hope it was as rewarding for her as it was for me, but it's pretty special. But we were able to do this, and she made it happen. And she's a force of nature, and she thinks the world of you, Megan. Thank you, honey.
She's a powerhouse. His daughter, for people who don't know, is like this incredible, successful businesswoman and a total girl boss, even though I don't always love that word, but she's just a
I
really
thought you were going to
incredible
say it
woman.
total BS.
No, girl boss. Like she's a
Well, she's
titan of
both.
her
You can put her.
industry.
She's something. She really is something. But thank you
Yeah,
so much. And let me just tell you, my uh, my uh, my thoughts and appreciation for you and your family, your
thank
father,
you.
your mother, the whole family, what you all have contributed to this great country. Unbelievable. A
Thank you,
legacy
Senator.
that's been left for years for all of us to endure and be able to enjoy.
You
Thank you.
too, Senator. Have fun on your
Bye bye,
boat. We'll
everybody.
see you soon.
Buy the
Bye.
book.
Thank
Buy the
you.
book.
Buy the
Yeah,
book.
pick
Yeah.
up his
Buy
book.
the book.
We
He's
will.
gonna
I already have it, but we'll
buy
buy the
the book.
book.
Buy
Buy
the
the book.
book.
Yes. Very sweet. I did not know his daughter. I don't know how I missed that. Ghost wrote it. It's lovely.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's fabulous.
We have some time left, and I wanted to know if any audience members have any. We can do like a sort of grab
We
bag
have
of
a ton of
questions.
hands up.
Raise
Like
your hands. Okay, great.
I
We
can
we,
see
we can
three
still
right off the
continue
top
talking
of that.
about the Kirk Memorial. Anything.
We have
Literally,
some
ask us
Jimmy
anything you
Kimmel
want.
news that we can get into if you wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Just as usual, be respectful. Bring anyone in you like, Ashley. Hi, Ryan. How are
Hey,
you?
Ryan.
Hey Megan, can you
It's
hear
nice
me?
to see
Yes.
you. Yes, nice to see you.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming on.
it's an honor to speak to you.
Gosh,
I called. I'm actually overseas. It's like
Where are
12:30
you?
a.m.
Or
yeah.
can you
Where are
not
I'm in
say?
you?
ba I'm on vacation in
Oh,
Bali, but I live in
Oh,
Southeast Asia. So I saw
thank you for
Senator
your
Manchin
service.
was
we're jealous. We want to
no,
be in
I
Bali.
I'm wearing it's a New Orleans Saints hat actually. I work in I
Oh,
work I work in the oil
but that's
field, so I always like loved. I'm from Louisiana, but I always loved Senator Manchin because he just spoke to regular folk like me, right? He's just.
Mhm. He's the best.
But what I wanted to say, Megan, is my daughter is 16. She's a junior in high school. Her mom is Indian, like Usha from overseas,
Mhm.
which is why I live overseas. So she was running for VP for student council. I wanted to try to introduce her to U.S. politics, right? So um, VP Vance, blah blah blah. There's like no interviews of Usha, so I found your interview with her
We had
and my
one. Yep.
daughter. I know we watched it. That's like the only one I could find.
It's the one,
My
yeah.
my daughter absolutely loves her.
Yeah.
So inspirational. I wish I know she's got kids and she's busy with that, but I wish she would do a bit more, because like there's a lot of girls that would I think would
Yeah.
really look up to her.
I
So
think she's
especially, you
going
know,
Yeah, I think she's gonna do more. I think they're just like easing her in. You know, she was a
yeah,
total private citizen up until just a few years ago, and
I know,
um,
I know.
she's very impressive. And I think she's his better
So
half. And I think
impressive.
he would agree that too. He would probably say the same thing. And you know, not to bring it to a sad place, but you know, you heard Erica Kirk talk about how important
Yeah.
she was to her yesterday. So I think she's someone I agree that I think a lot of people in the country are admirers of and will continue to be admirers of. Do you have any other questions, or should we say goodbye?
I mean, you can go on. I mean, I have a question about social media for kids, but that may be a much longer discussion. So maybe another time.
Okay.
And
I
our
think
kids are little, so yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's beyond our
Try
limits right
with a
now.
16-year-old. I'm keeping her on a flip phone for now, but
Smart. That is
it's a
smart.
Yeah.
struggle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time, Ryan.
Enjoy
And
All right,
Bali. We're
thank you.
very
yeah,
jealous.
Yeah.
enjoy that wonderful vacation. Do you want to go to the
Thank you,
next
Ryan.
person? Okay. Excuse me, I'm getting some water. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hey,
Nice to see
Kate.
you.
Hi, how are you? It's so good to talk to you again.
So good to see you again,
I
too.
am not in my underground higher ed bunker today. I'm actually working from home. So, um, so I did have a question for Senator Manchin, but I want to pivot. I do have a comment about Charlie Kirk's memorial service. So I come from a Catholic background and then evangelical Christian when I was about 12, and have been um, a faithful Christian. I don't know what the terminology is ever since then. And it just frustrates me. I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm continually surprised at how the mainstream media do not understand how hundreds of millions of people who are Christian, worship like that. Yes, it was on a huge scale, but what happened at his memorial service is what happens every Sunday in my church. We were in Orlando visiting our daughter the weekend after he was killed, and her church, which is bigger than ours, you couldn't even find a seat at the 8:15 service, and most of them were young people, and a whole lot of them were kneeling at the altar when we left to go home. It's not weird. It's not, nobody ever talks about taking over the country and making everybody Christian. I detest that Christian supremacy thing. I see it all over social media where I am. And it's like, could you please go and attend a service, maybe more than once, and try to understand before you just make these bizarre, really bigoted comments. I guess after years of it, I'm just like, and especially when name one thing people said that was hateful. I know we talked about a couple, like I thought Tucker's thing was bizarre too, but in general, tell me what was hateful. And Erica Kirk had a point. There wasn't rioting. We weren't people weren't setting
Well, I
things on
think
fire.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
think that's a really good point. And I think like several different things to hit of what you just said. The first is for me, I do this local radio show in Arizona once a week, and they were unhappy, and they're my friends, and I don't want to talk crap, but they were very mad at some things I tweeted. And one of the things I was trying to explain is, as a lifelong conservative, also a lifelong Christian, to go through my experience in 2020, where I was, me specifically, but I think all of us proverbially, was screamed at and basically called a racist psychopath for saying that we should not be burning down buildings, that we should not be hurting police officers, that violence is never the answer to anything. And I can remember getting in so many fights on camera, off camera, where I was like, there's just nothing on the planet that could get me to loot and steal. There's no cause, there's no anything. And that terrorists always say, there's nothing else we could do. So we resorted to violence. And then seeing so many people in news on CNN and MSNBC, I'll never forget seeing Sarah Sidner with a burning building behind her saying it's mostly peaceful protesting. It's going to haunt, or maybe it was Ali Velshi. She said something else too. But do you remember which one? I
Yep.
apologize.
I think it was Ali.
Mhm.
Ali Velshi.
Yeah.
I'll haunt him for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life, I'll never forget that. And then to see this happen, where Charlie, I don't think people on the left understand quite his impact, to see it be so peaceful in the wake of an assassination. I just think it shows there is a difference in our parties, in a perspective on violence. I'm sorry if that's uncomfortable for us to point out. I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable to our friends on the left. And obviously, there's wonderful people throughout cross party lines. We just interviewed Senator Joe
Yeah.
Manchin. Like, I'm not stereotyping, but as a general rule, there is a comfort with violence on the left that there isn't on the right. And again, maybe I'm pissing people off. I don't really care at this point, but that is something they're going to have to analyze, because I know when a crisis happens on the left, I better board up my local CVS because they're going to bash it in and loot. And with conservatives, I think it's shown that they pray and get sad and then have community together. And I think in terms of like Christianity, I mean, there's such negative stereotypes about being like sort of like an active, proud Christian. And I think that in this moment, people are talking about like whether we're in a spiritual revival right now. I believe on some level we are. I need a little more time to assess how large it is. I'm not quite sure yet. This just happened. But there's certainly a lot happening in the country in regards to people being proud and loud about their Christianity. But I think that the media can no longer just block it out and treat us like we're freaks and treat us like we're in the minority. And I said to another friend last week, I was like, I don't know why you're talking to me like this, because we're winning every election. We're in all brackets of power and we're more popular and we have more people voting for us. So what about my side is the one that's doing something wrong? Because I think, as Senator Manchin just said, my side's not the one losing 200,000 registered voters in a year. Like, what is it about your side? So as much as I want to like take the spirit of Erica Kirk, she's obviously a much more evolved person than I am. I still feel like there's a lot of stuff for the left to answer for. And I share your frustration with the way Christians and conservatives are portrayed. But I think the chickens are coming to home to roost right now. I really do. In a
Hey,
lot of different ways. Sorry, go ahead, Miranda.
hey, Kate, just anecdotally, have you noticed at your church, since this all has happened with Charlie, more attendance? Like, is your church
Yes.
more like
It,
busier? Just, I want to.
Mine too, for whatever that's worth.
it's not only that, it goes beyond that. I've noticed actually some kids from the local college there, but
Oh, so
in my
younger too,
younger
more young
people.
people.
Yep, and younger families, but everybody in my circle we've communicated with each other, and we've all said we have realized now that the persecution isn't going to end. And people laugh, oh, you're persecuted. No, we're literally made fun of, right? And caricatured in every place
It's like
that
one of
is
the last
possible.
groups that you're allowed to
Right.
talk shit
Yeah.
about online, basically.
It's so disrespectful, but we're just like, we're done. We don't care. This is who we are. And we're doing it from a place of love. And we're not trying to force anybody into anything. But we're all saying we're going to be more vocal about this is what we believe. This is why we believe it. But take it for what you will. But we're proud and happy. And we need this in our life. Like, it's not some fad. It's our faith. It's the most important thing to us. And we really don't care what you think about it anymore. And that, I would say, even more than attendance or whatever, pretty much everybody I've talked to has said that they're going to change, how they're going to be more vocal.
Interesting.
My church has been busier too, whatever that.
And are people going more frequently? Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, again, I have to I think there needs to be a little more time, but I do think that the Republican Party going forward is going to be a lot more like out, proud, vocal about Christianity. And I think we always have been, but I think it's going to go to another level
Even more.
coming up. And I also think I think a healthy democracy has two healthy parties. I really don't root for Democrats to be in the position they're in, because quite frankly, I just think it's not healthy and it's pathetic. But I was even just thinking
incredibly fractured. There's so many people that are so beyond extreme that don't, and then, I mean, you sent that video of the drag queen. Like, that's such an extreme part of the party. Then there's people like Joe Manchin, and there's normal Democrats still too.
yeah.
So it's just, we can't exist. It's like 5 different parties in one, with one
Yeah, but
umbrella
I don't
label.
see how in the next, I mean, gosh, a year and a half, 2 years, when the new
There's
presidential
no way.
race starts coming up, I don't know how you combat this. I don't know how you combat something that people are not only interpreting as a political and cultural revolution, but now they're seeing it as a spiritual revolution. And people are literally like Erica yesterday talking about how she forgive the man who assassinated her husband. It's talking about letting light in instead of darkness. What the,
It was
the
beautiful.
underline of all the conversations about the other side, we all know what we're talking about. We all know what we're saying. And I think if you're a Democrat right now, I just like, sometimes people, people come to me for advice, and sometimes they pay me, sometimes they don't, when they're running for office or they're like, in office or whatever. And I don't know what I would say to a Democrat in this moment in terms of messaging, because it's so bad right now. It's like optically, it's your darkness, your pro-violence, godless, that you're going to come out against spirituality, and we have all these like horrible clips of like AOC and Jasmine Crockett and Ilhan Omar. Actually, would you mind if I play this clip really quick? Number 9. I had wanted to play this earlier, but I felt like it was tonally not right for Senator Manchin, because this is not his fault. Like, these people are not him, and I don't want him
And
attached
he
to that, because he made
specifically
himself.
said he doesn't agree with them. So
Yeah, and he's not. I did not put him in this bucket, obviously. But could you play number 9? Because I would like to discuss this with both of you.
I think it was the video where it called him Dr. Frankenstein and said his monster shot him through the neck. I mean, obviously, this is a person, and looking at this is someone who was a husband and a father. And in the days after his shocking death, that happened as a result of his views, or it happened as a result as he was sharing his views publicly with people, that people found it jarring to hear such criticism of that in the immediate aftermath of
what
death.
I find jarring is that there's so many people willing to excuse the most reprehensible things that he said, that they agree with that they're willing to have monuments for him, that they want to create a day to honor him, and that they want to produce resolutions in the House of Congress honoring his life and legacy. It is one thing to care about his life, because obviously so many people loved him, including his children and wife. But I am not going to sit here and be judged for not wanting to honor any legacy this man has left behind. That should be in the dustbin of history, and we should hopefully move on and forget the hate that he spewed every single day.
What is wrong with her? All you have to, if there was some sort of opposite situation where someone that I disagreed with politically, God forbid, had what happened to them that happened to Charlie Kirk, I would just be respectful and quiet and be like, we pray for the pain of their family. What the hell's wrong with Ilhan Omar? And this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's been very revealing to me that just like basic decorum has gone out the window. And when you see people like, saying we're all Jimmy Kimmel, no, Jimmy Kimmel didn't lose his life. He's having an issue because he's pissed off a bunch of affiliates, because your show, by the way, is carried in red areas of the country, and maybe red people don't want to like carry your show anymore. But I think it's just the total lack of decorum and respect. And that, whether you like it or not, that is what you're going to be attached to, even if you're a normal Democrat. And I just don't know how they pull themselves out of this right now. Go ahead. Sorry. And either of you, please jump in.
Not for nothing, but there is a turning point event tonight in Minnesota, hosted by Michael Knowles. So for her, as a representative of Minnesota, to go on TV and say, I don't like him, he belongs in the dustbin of history and blah, 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 whatever else garbage she's been spewing about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point and their messaging, they have an event in her state. So she should be very, very careful, considering all the political violence that's been going on. She should be very careful about what she's saying. She could just have said nothing, or something positive or neutral at the very most.
Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, she said he's spewing hate. He's literally spewing what Christians have believed for thousands of years. And no church I've ever been in has talked Democrat or Republican, or, anything like that. Yeah. And I guarantee, and if it was somebody on the other side, it would be very, I feel, easy to respect their faith and be respectful. I don't know why it's hard for them. And, I just wish they would stop. It's just so offensive.
And if someone had said that about an assassination of someone of her faith, instantly.
Oh my God. I know.
Yes.
Totally.
I mean, it's easy to make fun of Christians, apparently. Whatever. But we don't care anymore.
You should take solace in the fact that and again, like, there's some analysis I can do right now, but I just need like another week to really absorb all of this. But so far, like, there are I think what's happening in this moment is it is obviously the horrific assassination of a political activist and evangelist, which we haven't seen since the 70s, which I was just reminded of. That's obviously having a huge impact. It's the left's reaction to it, which has been horrific and very difficult to watch. But I also think this is a moment where Republicans and Christians and just anyone who's not, I would say even like Democrats who are fans of Charlie, like whatever, like Van Jones was talking about how, Charlie Kirk was reaching out to him. I just think this is a moment where all the like, and excuse my language, please, but all the like fucking around and finding out that the media has done for a very long time is finally hit a fever pitch, meaning my old show on The View had 210 Democrat guests and not one Republican in the entire year. Again, like, and this is a show that's supposed to represent all of Americans. And again, that's just one example. But the fact that, like, there's actual data that's been done that it's like 98% of all people working in newsrooms are left progressives. It's like, it is not right. We deserve to be represented. We deserve to be respected. We deserve to have our pain validated by people in the media. We deserve to not be treated like garbage when an icon is assassinated in front of all of our faces in a horrific, brutal, vicious way. And I just think at this moment, even like, I want to show one more clip and then we'll go because I want you guys really quick. John Carl, who works at ABC, who I actually have always liked, made this really crazy comment about Charlie Kirk that he's getting a lot of heat for. And I'm just going to use this as another example. Clip, please.
Murder of Charlie Kirk was not a political act.
Okay, so it's just quick, but he said the murder of Charlie Kirk was not a political act.
What is wrong with ABC?
Oh, don't get me started. But this is another thing I'm talking about where it's like, it obviously was. He's a political figure. He's a religious figure. Obviously, and we know from the shooter, from like all the things we've learned about him so far, it was obviously an act of political violence. And the fact that you have a big
shooter
anchor
said it was.
I know.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh because it's just, but it's just so
horrific.
absurd. It's absurd.
But I think things like this are going to come to an end. And I think like people better start flying straight. And John Carl, I don't know if he apologized, but he said like he needed clarity. I watched the whole clip. He said what he said. I still interpret it as him.
It's been over a week. You need clarity about what the motivations were behind the shooting? Okay.
So all I'm saying is that I think that things are going to start really changing. And we have CBS being taken over by a new boss who all intents and purposes are signaling that he wants a different chain of command in place. Jimmy Kimmel, however you feel, he's someone who is just I have always not liked Jimmy Kimmel. I think he just traffics in really hideous rhetoric about Republicans and Democrats. I will tell a story. And women.
Yeah.
I was on a flight with him one time. We were not together. He was just on an airline that I was at. We were both sitting in the like front section, and he was talking shit about Republicans. And I remember being like, "Oh, it's not just a thing for TV." And I remember being like, "Should I move? Like, if he recognizes me," which he obviously didn't. But like, I was like, I can't. So I just know from that small story, like, you're consumed by this. This is your whole life, is like hating Republicans.
Imagine that being in your brain 24/7, that you can't think of anything else but just hatred for an entire
and it was a
group of
commercial
people.
flight. It was not private, just FYI. I don't fly private.
You're
Anyway,
on a
all
private
I'm
jet
trying to
with Jimmy
say,
Kimmel. That's so weird.
I've been on a private jet like 3 times in my entire life, and one time was with my dad's casket. So I'm so sorry, you guys.
Oh.
Like, whatever. It's like, it's
And
not
let's
a thing.
end the show on that note. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, you guys. But all I'm saying is to give you hope right now. Things are shifting, and it's shifting fast, and these people better really come together and start treating Republicans like we're humans. Otherwise, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of people losing their jobs. And I don't think that's censorship. I think it's just,
accountability.
Accountability. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
So
Thank
much
you,
for spending
Kate.
time today. We appreciate it, Kate.
Glad to see
you
you
look
out of the
lovely, by
bunker.
the way. You look camera ready. I don't know what, like,
Beautiful.
Oh, well, I had to go out in public earlier, so.
You look lovely.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching and Zooming. Thank you so much, Miranda. I know today was a little bit of a shift, but like I said, we had Joe Manchin booked, and I just thought
love
like
him.
his
I'm, he's like a
Miranda's a disciple.
He's like a celebrity to me. I'm so sad we didn't get to talk about No Labels, but that's just an excuse to have him on another day. So
yeah, we did not have enough time. He's on his, he's on a big book tour right now.
I know.
But thank you guys so much. We will, this story is not going anywhere. The the repercussions of Charlie Kirk's assassination, both politically, socially, spiritually, religiously, there's going to be lots of tentacles for a long time coming out of this. This is a huge generational shifting moment. This is going to be akin to RFK's assassination, JFK's assassination, Martin Luther King's assassination. I already can tell you, you don't get 200,000 people showing up in an arena if this isn't a total paradigm shift in our culture and politics. What that ultimately means, I think it means that Republicans are taking a lot of leads in a lot of ways, but what it means like long term, again, I'm just asking you guys to give me a
Culturally.
little more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miranda and I will obviously continue doing what we always do, but have no doubt this is a moment that there is no going back before from this, and it's just where we go from here. Pick up Joe Manchin's book, Dead Center in Defense of Common Sense. It's funny, it's a good name for his book. I like it.
I love
And
it. Yeah.
we'll see you Wednesday. Thank you so much, Miranda.
Thank you, everybody.